Hello, hello. Okay, and this is my attempt at making a reroll slash tiering guide for this game. So before we begin, I want to start with a disclaimer that if you like the unit, just get it. Ignore this list. And this is all my opinion. And ultimately, this game is all about team building. So even though the unit might be low now, it's possible that you might want to take the unit for many different reasons, such as I need the ego. I need this specific ego, so I need this unit to charge up the ego, for example. That could be one way. Or this unit has this specific resistances and a specific action or status that I need to fight this one enemy type, and then I would consider using them. One of those people, for example, could be like W Meursault, who has slash resistance, or Rodion, LCCB version, because she has defense down. So assuming that in the future that we get enemies that dodge a lot, for example, then Rodion might become very significant because she actually applies a defense power down, which makes it easier to win if the enemy is spamming a lot of defense, for example, or has a very strong defense that you need to get through. So everyone here has a use. There's really only one person that is a bit weird right now because there's just really like no reason to ever pick him over anyone else, but everyone is good. Yeah. Okay, so disclaimer out of the way. I hope you guys use your own thoughts when you're making your teams and making your opinions here, but this is my opinion. Alright, disclaimer over. Let's get to it. Let's start from left to right. Let's start with the base IDs then, since this is I think a little bit easier. So base IDs, generally all of them are just good. I posted all of my clears with the base IDs, so you can go and see how they perform. But in general, one of several of these IDs stand out, and that would be Outis and Hong Lu. So the reason why these two stand out is because their clashing power and their damage output is amazing, is good. Hong Lu has free coin power on his skill 2 and skill 3. Outis has 3 hits on her first skill with rupture application each time, has very good clashing power on the skill 2 and has 2 coins on that, as well as a skill 3 that is like some 6 to 20 range or some crap like that. It's huge basically, and she does so much damage. Like in all my runs, if I ever just have like no IDs that I particularly want to bring, I would just bring Outis and she'll be perfectly fine there. Sometimes she even out damages some 000s depending on whether she hits during the fatal resistance period, the damaging period. Yeah, she's definitely exceptional. And among these guys, it's not that they are bad, right? It's just they're kind of okay. They support certain playstyles, they support certain things. For example, Heathcliff, if you bring him into anything with blunt fatal resistance, he'll just beat the shit out of them and clear them. So you can see all of my chapter 3 runs, Heathcliff and Faust are like some of my biggest DPSs. But in general, their kits are not particularly super strong. They're just very good for specific content. I mean, okay, so if we look at Heath, right, he does get attack buff and his ego does give him attack buff, so he actually becomes pretty good. But when you compare to these two who don't need any setup at all, they don't need to activate their egos, and if you do activate their egos, they become even better. Compared to Heathcliff, it takes a while for him to pop off while these guys are already popping off. Faust is of course just naturally good because NOA, which is the passive of her base ego, exists. It gives her permanent +2 attack power and clash power. So it's just free damage and free clash. So yeah, that ego alone makes all of Faust's IDs just go up one level. Because if you can somehow make your team get that ego off once, Faust becomes a monster. So Faust will even go up here if I just considered that, oh yeah, I'll be activating the ego every time, then yeah, she'll go up here. But if I don't consider that, then no, she doesn't go up there. Which is why, like I said, there's a lot of thought that you need to take before you decide where the unit should go. But in general, all of them do good. They are sufficient enough to clear chapter 3, and I also believe that they will be sufficient enough for railway, because I don't think this game will take the path of ultra hard endgame content where you can't clear with the base units. I think you will be able to clear with the base units. Maybe it will just be very hard to get. For example, I believe Railway has a clear railway in less than 50 turns banner, which you can use to flex your turns taken to clear. I don't think they will be able to do that, but maybe they will. I'll be trying that, so I don't know. But yeah, I think all units are viable in this game. So yeah, Outis, Hong Lu, definitely up there as some of the best of the base IDs due to their pure clashing power, and Outis is just one of my favorite units in the game, so maybe I'm a little bit biased, but I'm sure everyone has heard of the Odyssey. Her ego comes back so fast. Yeah. Alright, base IDs out of the way. So, what are core units here and what are SS units here? So, in the strong, these guys are just straight up good. Like, they are cut above the rest generally. Core units are units that you will build around. Like, they have specific moves that you can build around and they're very strong. SS is, they're cut above these guys. They have even better clashing or even better utility than these guys, so they belong here. The core units in SS are not necessarily separate. They could also be an SS, they could also be a core, but I have decided to split them into two because the core unit really has the utility required to make a certain team comp work. Yeah. So even though they're in the core, does not mean that they're not necessarily SS, does not mean they're not necessarily strong. It's just that they have a specific status that could help your team do this specific thing. And let us start with filling up that core unit, right? So we got Liu Meursault, Wakashu, Ryoshu, Kromer, of course. Actually, if I have to do anything, I'll put Kromer on my left. She's insane. LCCB Ishmael. Who am I missing? Okay, no, it's just these four. Okay, yep. So why are these guys here? And it's because they have counts. So Ishmael has Tremor count, Rupture count, Paralysis, and Fragile. She can apply all four statuses, and applying count enables specific synergies. So when you apply 4 Tremor count, that means Tremor will last for 4 turns. Because Burst Tremor currently does not remove the Tremor like totally from the enemy. So you could theoretically just keep stacking Tremor as long as you have Tremor count. So she enables Tremor synergy. Ryoshu, at this point if you don't know, she has Bleed count. So similar to how Nails work, Bleed count, she directly applies Bleed count. But Nails takes to the end of the turn to apply the Bleed count. So Wakashu Ryoshu is very good at applying Bleed count and is one of the core units of Bleed. Liu Meursault has Burn count, as well as applies a lot of burn on all of his skills, as well as having good clashes. If I were to not put him in core, he would be SS for sure. He's very, very good. His coins are amazing. His burn damage is amazing, and he has burn count, so he's the core of burn. But right now, the problem is that burn doesn't have other supports. Not too many other units are supporting this specific burn playstyle. Only Liu Gregor directly supports this, and then we have a few egos that somewhat support it. But I don't think that with these egos it is currently enough to justify running your burn team when your only burn count provider is Meursault. Not that it's impossible, I'm sure you can make it, and I'm sure you can clear all content with the burn team. I think it's just maybe a bit harder compared to other playstyles right now. I think for playstyles, only Tremor and Bleed is generally like fully fleshed out in this game. Charge count is slowly getting support, so we might see the W Corp people start to pop off soon too. Anyway, lastly, Kromer belongs in SS and belongs in core units for sure. Her coins and her offense is insane. I think you guys seen some of my other videos maybe, where I talked about how she has some crazy clash, crazy growths, crazy statuses, and she enables a whole archetype by herself called N Corp. And N Corp is all about applying nails, doing crap tons of damage, getting fanaticism, doing a lot of bleed, and so she synergizes very well with Ryoshu. So she is the crux of core unit for N Corp and bleed, and very high clashing makes her an SS unit as well. So if there's anyone you ever want to reroll for, it's 100% her. Like there is... Okay, arguably, you could also argue for Rabbit, because Rabbit is also very strong. Rabbit has huge amounts of damage and utility. So even if he runs out of ammo, right? The man has coin power 2 and coin power 1 on his skill 2 and skill 3, if I remember correctly. So he applies fragility, he can clash like crazy, he does a bunch of damage if he has bullets, he applies bleed, and he just has so much things going for him. He's also very fast, so he usually clashes anything. Yeah, so very strong unit. Mirror dungeons, just clearing general wave content. He's very, very strong. Like if I were to compare these two, I would say if you want an easier time farming, you would take Rabbit Heath compared to her, because Rabbit Heath applies fragility, and fragility is multiplicative, so all damage dealt is increased by, I think he applies 4, so 40% more damage to the target. And then one of my favorite combos is to take Ishmael and Rabbit Heath together. Both of them apply fragility at the same time, bam, the guy is dead, 100%. Kromer has the advantage of not relying on bullets, so if it's longer content, generally she's better as well. In fact, I remember one of my videos I was comparing Kromer and Gregor, and those two are very similar, but Kromer beats Gregor in terms of status and growths. But at the same time, Gregor has sustainability, so he can be very independent. So speaking of Gregor, let's slap him over there. Clearly belongs there. Eviscerate is good, Hack is good. The second skill is also really good. He has Rupture, he has damage, he has healing. He's good. He's just very good. Then we got Tingtang as well. Tingtang is very good. Tingtang has Shank, which is... if you roll hits on Shank, the guy is probably dead. That's how strong Shank is. And Mutilate is just a win more skill. I think the thing that people hate about Tingtang is the RNG nature of his skill tree, and his skill 1 being a little bit mediocre compared to others. And I think those are viable complaints. I think that for farming content, he's still very, very strong, because he still has 2 copies of Shank and only 1 copy of Mutilate, so you wouldn't have to be gambling too much. The problem is that you have to draw 3 of his skill 1s, which is not particularly amazing. So but I don't think that justifies bringing him down to strong. I think he's still very, very strong unit. He can one-shot a target in wave battles, and if he ever gets Mutilate off correctly and kills the target as well, he can use it again, which is just bonus, but it's very rare that happens. But yeah, he's still up there, definitely. In fact, I would call Kromer, Rabbit, Gregor, and Tingtang as the big 4 in the game. I think Pritwen also puts these guys as the big 4. I'll put Ryoshu up there as well if you like bleed. She has pretty good clash also, yeah. Yeah, so if you want to reroll, right, I would recommend these 5 right here. Yeah, if you just wanted to know what to reroll, you're done. I gave you the reroll. Just reroll for these 3, maybe get some egos if you want. Most of the gacha egos aren't particularly amazing currently. I think Teleport's going to be really good because I saw the cost already. But besides that, I don't know if it's gonna be if it's worth it to reroll for egos, because most of the egos at the current point in time do not particularly do anything as amazing as the battle pass egos. We got Ledger Domain, all these crazy ass battle pass egos like Fluid Sac Force as well. Crazy. Pursuance is really good though at the gacha ego. That's the only one I can think of right now. Okay, who else belongs in SS? The only 0-0 that belongs in SS is Wakashu because of his skill 2, Cloud Cutter. Cloud Cutter hits 4 times and is based on bleed count. So that means that as long as you don't bring a bunch of bleed counters like Ryoshu and the Nail Gang, this guy is going to be hitting 4 times for 1 billion damage and applies a bunch of bleeds and applies paralysis, and he's just so good. Hong Lu is crazy. Like, Hong Lu here, and Hong Lu here. That's just... his IDs are crazy good, yeah. Okay, and then for the last one, it is gonna be Grobhammer. And Grobhammer comes here because he has some pretty good utility. The man can tank forever, defense skills are going to get buffs, and his identity as a tank is pretty significant. I would throw him into support tanks, but the fact that he applies bleed and bind and nails is I think enough to justify him actually still being up here. He does not so terrible damage with his skill 2 and skill 3. His skill 1 is the only thing mediocre about him, but it also reduces his stagger. So honestly, even with the skill 1 being pretty mediocre, I would say he's definitely up there as a very good unit to try and reroll for too. But not as important as getting these 5 here. Because if you want to go for a full N-Corp team, you 100% need Kromer. Because Kromer is like the crux, the core of N-Corp. Yeah, that's my opinion, of course. Alright, so SS field, core units field, let's fill up the rest of them. Alright, so most of the other units have a use. So let's show you guys the tanks first, maybe. Alright, let's go with the tanks. Tanks. Support. A bit of a support. Actually, more of a tank than a support, but he does have some supporty elements to him. Okay, Hefe is there, and Rodion, yep. Okay, so that is 7 units. Yes, correct. Alright. So all of these guys here all have specific things that they do. So all of them primarily here have good statuses. So if I remember correctly, Yi-sang here has paralysis. Sinclair has what does Sinclair have? I think it was okay, let me just crit run for a little bit here, because I actually can't remember what Sinclair has. Sinclair has he supports Tremor, he has Burst Tremor, he has Blunt Fragility, he has Protections, he has Damage Downs. So as you can see, he's primarily a tank. A very slow one, albeit, but he's primarily meant to be a tank. Zwei 7 section 6 Yi-sang, yeah. That's this guy is like one of my favorites, because honestly a lot of these are really good. Applying paralysis and fragile next turn is extremely good. I guess the only problem with him is he has to win the clash, and he only has this amount of growth, so it's not particularly easy to win with this. The coins is not that bad though. And he also has 5 to 8 speed, which is insane. I don't think even Kromer is that fast. Kromer is only 4 to 8, he is 5 to 8. So yeah, he's one of those who will get the first turn real easily. And he can even, and with the first turn advantage, right, you can use Yi-sang's ego, which applies attack down, so that all of your teammates benefit from the attack down. So that's very good. I like this unit a lot. It's that currently in the game, supports and tanks aren't exactly super useful. The problem is that for tanks and supports is that currently all the content can just be cleared by brute force, and there is no need for a tank to tank anything. There is no need for a support to give any buffs, although they are helpful. But actually, if you take another unit that just does damage, then isn't that better? Or even a unit that does damage but applies a status as well, then that's just playing the role of support and DPS at the same time. So right now our game is currently skewed into a damage focused game. Railway is also going to emphasize that, from what I understand, because Railway is a time, well, not timed, it's a turn gated. So you want to clear below 50 turns in order to get the banner. And if you don't care about the banners, then yeah, you don't really need to care. You can just use tanks. But if you care about the turn clearing times, then you do need to have a lot of DPS to kill them faster. Maybe there'll be a tank mechanic, I don't know. But currently, from my standpoint, from what I see, tanks and supports don't really have a place here. They can be used, they are useful, they do have the utility, they just aren't required right now. There's no need for them. You can just use other DPSs and just beat the crap out of your enemies and stagger them first, and then you just kill them afterwards. Let's hope that Railway gives us some interesting things to use tanks for though. If that happens, I'll be quite pleased. Project Moon never fails to give me entertainment anyway, so maybe they'll make the tanks useful. Alright, and okay, let's just fill up the rest of strong. Yi-sang, just generally strong because his offense level is really high. I know people shit on him. I used to shit on him as well, but when I look at his offense levels, it is kind of insane. I think he might have one of the highest growths in the game of 0.86. it's kind of nuts that it's 0.86. While people like, let's look at Gregor. Gregor has 0. Okay, no, Gregor's also 0.86, never mind. Kromer is 0.82, yeah. So he's something with a pretty high growth. The problem is his coins are abysmal. His coins are like +1s and +2s. But with the offense level being so high, it's very easy for him to get extra clashing power. So I would still put him as pretty strong. He can win the clashes that he wants to win. Another downside is that he's also poised, and poise currently isn't very good. So that's a... Man, now that I talk about it, I want to pull him back down to good. But nah, he's still alright. The offense level pays off, honestly. And he's also a good pride generator. Okay, we don't talk about the pride generator. I remember using him to charge my Faust ego. That's why I noticed him as a pride generator. Alright. Corp Faust. Okay, Corp Faust, right? In the right circumstances, when she activates her ego, or when she rolls crazy with her opportunistic slash, is crazy good. Like, look at opportunistic slash. It's a 4 base with 2 coins of 8 each, with coin power +3 if you did not get hit last turn. All of this combined makes this skill insane, because every coin is now +11. So 4 +11 +11, and that is your range of damage for opportunistic slash. And then we still have deep cuts, which is just naturally very good. It's 3 coins with 3 coin power. And her growths aren't bad either, and she gives herself haste. Like, ignore the poise. The poise doesn't exist in this scenario. We're just fast, we get good clash, we do good damage. It's also good. Yeah, she definitely belongs here. I don't know if I could push her here, but honestly, if there was anyone who was near here, it would be Faust. I was just like, she's on the verge of going to SS. And then Quixote. Quixote is strong. Some people love her and I hate her. So the reason why people love and hate her is she has Overbreathe as a skill tree. So a range of 4 to 21. As you can imagine, if you don't roll hits, it's suffering, and if you do roll hits, it's amazing. And then followed with that is that dual strike here is, you can see, is pretty close to opportunistic strike, where she gets +6 here. She doesn't have the coin power, of course, but it's about the same level of opportunistic strike, where it has pretty high coin power but really low base power as well. At least it has 2 coins though, so that's pretty good. And then it also gives haste and poise, so she also goes really fast. Very similar to Faust, actually, if you think about the kits in general. But some people swear by this third skill, and I don't swear by this third skill. So yeah, out of respect for that, I will put her here though. She is definitely strong. That Overbreathe is good when it works. It will win the clashes that are really hard to win. For example, if you are clashing against one move that has really high base power, like the Maw from Kromer, for example, you could use this to try and beat the Maw, for example. Alright, besides that, I think some people might not like me putting the 000s here, and I would like to defend myself by saying that these two are good. Like, they're gonna be great in the future when charge count support comes in. The problem is that these two currently don't do enough by themselves to generate the required charge count. So what do I mean by this, right? Is if we look at Reindeer. Reindeer has pretty good skill 1. That is actually better than Hack. It's 3, 8, 13. It's a 3 to 13 range. And this skill is pretty okay with a 6 to 16 range. The problem is Mind Whip, and I think a lot of people have seen the memes of Reindeer Ishmael just zapping your Rabbit Heathcliff to death or your Heathcliff to death. And this is why you need to have 10 charge count, if not you target a random unit for an unopposed attack. And while this skill is very good, the problem is getting to this 10 charge count, it takes a while. And when you think about it, right, why would I take a while to get the charge count when I could just throw any of these guys who have like no requirements beforehand to beat the shit out of my opponent? If you want to look at Dawn's, Dawn's is the opposite of Ishmael, where her skill 1 is mediocre but her skill 2 is phenomenal. So her skill 1 gives her is a 5 to 6, so it's not bad, but it's not as good as Reindeer. And then we have Leap, which is pretty damn good. This is effectively like an Eviscerate or like 00 Heathcliff's skill 3, but on a skill 2, so it's very good. The growth rate is also pretty damn good. And it has good statuses and charge count. So once again, same problem is that this, unlike Mind Whip, where if it hits the enemy, it will still do the damage. This one needs to have the charge count, otherwise you don't do the damage. And furthermore, this one will lose 20% of your HP if you don't have the charge count. So once again, same problem as Reindeer, but even worse because you need it. You absolutely need it, otherwise you don't get the damage. While Reindeer at least always gets the damage, but it's random target, so it's either a win or a loss. For Don, it's going to be a loss and a loss if you activate Rip Space before you get charged. So like I said, I think charge count is getting buffed anyway. They're getting the Eagles. The Eagles look pretty good, so I think these two are going to pop up to here soon in the future. Now why Henchwoman and Salsu here is because I just don't see a purpose for them. So right now, right, they've just released all the Corp Gang. So why would I need her to do bleed when she also has poise in her kit, right? I mean, you could say Dark Cloud Blade is really good, but at the same time, like, I don't know. It's a 2 to 5 speed character. The defense skill is not particularly strong. Like, N Meursault has 40 or something like that. So she's a supporty bleed, but at the same time, why would you use this supporty bleed character when you can use someone like N Heath, who would give you coin power down, paralysis, bleed, nails, you know, he supports the bleed team well. He benefits from fanaticism. Why does she need to exist right now? I mean, she's not a bad unit, that's for sure. Like, if you need the elements, please go ahead. She's not bad by any means. Her clashing is good, her growths are good. The thing is that when you think about the team comps, with the current bleed units we have, she doesn't fit into bleed anymore, and poise is not particularly amazing right now. So right now she really doesn't have an identity, but she is not bad in any way. She is still a good unit because of her raw power, her raw clashing. And then we also have Salsu, who suffers the same problem, but is even more enhanced because he is pure poise. You can argue that this one is paralysis and bleed, right? But he's 2 to 5 speed. This is not next turn paralysis, this is this turn paralysis, which means that you need to hope that this guy is faster than all your other units. If not, the paralysis won't work when you want to clash the target. So that's my argument for why I don't think he's going to be very strong. His growths aren't particularly amazing also, so he will probably be clashing at this range, which is not impossible to win, but is also not particularly amazing at winning. This skill 1 is actually... like, why? Why does this skill 1 like have such a range? It's 5 to 7. I mean, it reliably beats shit coins, but it will never win a strong coin, if you think about it. Yeah, so once again, suffers a bit of a similar problem to Henchwoman, but he's full poise, so it's really not amazing to have a full poise character right now. Poise is in a bad spot, so if Poise gets buffed, I'll have to relook at all these Poise people again. Hell, once the charge count Eagles come out, I have to relook at all of these characters again, because these two are gonna get bumped up. Paralysis works now, so at least, you know, like Yi-Sang here, who does paralysis next turn, is like bumped up already. Rodion applies paralysis, bumped up already, so that's the good stuff for those guys. But these guys, currently nothing looks... The Poise guys, like, there's nothing. I haven't seen anything coming up that's gonna be Poise related, and Poise itself is just so mediocre right now. So for Poise characters, what you mainly look at is just the clashing and what other utility they provide. So yeah, I would say Henchwoman is actually a little bit better than some of these characters, because she herself is very independent. She doesn't need any particular synergy, she can just do things by herself. She just won't do them as amazingly. It's perfect, right? She's a Henchwoman, so she's not supposed to be like in the front like Ryoshu. She's supposed to be in the middle. So yeah, I think actually lore-wise, this is very good. Character-wise, I think you can find better than her. Okay, and then we got Section 6... Section 7, 6. Okay, I don't know what's up with this one. Ryoshu. Okay, so for 7 Section 6 Ryoshu. Okay, that's the name apparently, right? She's quite good, honestly. I like her because of Swash. So Swash applies fragility to slash, and she's a 3 to 7 speed, which means that she will easily clash anything she wants. She has good growths, great offense level, pretty decent coin range, so she is going to win most of her clashes. She is going to apply slash fragility, and if she wins the clash, she even applies 2 additional stacks. So she is very good. She's like she's like a DPS and a support in the same character. She's very, very good. She has the growths of like a Yisang, she has the speed of a Yisang, and she has fragility as well, so she can do some crazy stuff. And then look at this, she gains attack power up next turn too if she gets the clash win. Defense down you can ignore, it basically doesn't matter. And then this skill power 2 is kind of like, okay, that's even like adding toppings to your kick or whatever. This skill is already pretty good, and then now they just add this. Okay, then I guess you use skill 3 into skill 2, and then boom, you have a crazy amount of win rate. She's also the meme character because her slash is blunt, so that's something, right? She does blunt on the slash. Yeah, I think the one weakness she has is supposed to be that she's not very tanky. The HP and the defense are really low, but I think she provides so much utility as a DPS that I would actually like take her over some of these others because she's consistent. Her skill 3 is very good. Her skill 2 is very good. Her offense level is very good. Her speed is very good. Yeah, very good character. Okay, I'll leave this guy for later. Let's look at Shi Section Ishmael. I think she's the free character that you get. So for Shi Section Ishmael, she is good, but not because of the 50% HP thing that all the Shi Section people get. It's not because of that. It's because her clash power is just straight up good. She has 3 + 4 + 4. That's a hack, right? 3 + 4 + 4. If you look at Gregor, for example, Gregor is 4 + 3 + 3. So that is 10, right? 4 to 10. While Ishmael is 3 + 4 + 4, which is 3 to 10. So it's 1 base less than Gregor's. And she has less growths. But the thing is, like, having this coin is pretty good. Good damage if you can hit this. And the chance of winning is pretty good when you have high sanity, because that's 3 to 10 range on a first one. Even if you fail the first coin, you can maybe win with the second coin, right? And then this one is really good if you can get there. So the problem now is that all the Shi sections, right, have this problem where they get staggered at 50% HP. So, well, okay, no, they get staggered earlier on. Their stagger thresholds are just in a really bad spot. So they cannot safely get to 50%. If they get near 50%, they are already staggered. And then what happens is that you just die afterwards most of the time. That's what happens when you are dropping to 50% like that. You're just gonna die because you're staggered already. So it's gonna be very tricky to get this one, but if you can get here, it's insane. It becomes Cloud Cutter, right? Because Cloud Cutter attacks 4 times. Yeah. So in the future, when there's 50% HP support egos maybe, or support characters, we can see her popping off. She's gonna become very good. She's a sleeper right now, but I think people are just missing out on this thing here. Like, wow, if you can get this, damn, she's crazy. And skill 3 is not even that bad. It's like 6 to 14. Yeah, that's pretty good. And then this one is problematic because I don't want her to heal above the 50% line, right? This is fine, I guess. It's not particularly bad because honestly, if you get to here, you might be dying. So getting this might save your life too. I don't know. I'm mostly looking at the skill 2 here because that skill 2 really defines the character. Yeah, she's very strong. I like her. She's very independent as well, so you don't have to worry too much about her. There's no like setup that is required, like the charge counters or the poisons. You can just use her and she'll be good. Similar to that, I think is Outis. Outis, Blade Lineage Outis has the same thing as Shi Section Ishmael, where you don't really care that she's a poise character. She just has good clash. She has a 5 to 13 range, as well as a 6 to 14 range here. And then you get additional final power if the target's HP is below 25%. So yeah, disregarding the poise, this character is functional. The problem is that she's poised, so if you expect crits, well, I don't know, man. I mean, everything else is average. She's an average unit. But I think she's still usable compared to the rest right now. Then we got Liu Gregor. Liu Gregor is like, ah man, I really want him to be like Liu Meursault. So Liu Meursault has like perfected Death Fist. 5 and then 3 coins and then coin power plus 3. That's a lot of damage. And then inflicts burn count, and then spreads burn if target has 6 burn. He does so much. He has hack on his first skill, and then he has this pretty decent one that just does more burn. Then this one is amazing because it inflicts burn count and inflicts burn. This character is so good. And then when you look at Liu Gregor, you're just kind of like, why, Liu Gregor? Why are you so mediocre compared to Liu Meursault when you're both the same rarity? Like, why? Like, look, he needs hits here. Meursault doesn't need hits. He only needs hits for specific things, like I think the burn count maybe. I don't even think it's the burn count. Wait, I can't remember. It's not even the burn count. It's for the burn. But then everything else is on hit. While Gregor needs hit. I mean, he does have some on hits, so it's not complete bad. The thing he has over Liu Meursault is that his growth rate is huge. Like, look, it's a 40, so it has pretty good clashing base power, so he is going to still win his clashes. Very decent unit. I wouldn't say it's Liu Meursault's level, but I will say that he is good support for the burn team, so definitely up there. He's very independent as well, actually. If you run him just solo, he should be able to just win his clashes. Just don't expect him to win all of them due to this really bad coin power of his. If you can one-sider with him though, he will do a bunch of damage. Look, 4 coin, 3 coin, 2 coin. That's a lot of damage. Yep. Pretty solid unit actually. Very independent as well. And then the N Corp Gang. The N Corp. Okay, so I'd like to say here that these characters are in no particular order. Yeah, they are. I just place them here. I don't want to judge individual power levels because if they are good, you're just going to use them in the team that they are good in, and you don't really care about the individual power level compared to others. It's all about synergy in this game, so don't ignore that. Like, don't look at it as like, oh, this one's better than this one. No, they are the same level. You bring them for things that you want to do. Okay, and then now the N Corp Gang. I don't think you need to explain why they're good. I think I've talked about them a bit in my previous videos. So this guy, good because he has this pretty good range on his skill 1. Good because this is basically a literate. Growth rate is mediocre sadly, so his clashing is okay-ish. And then Purify is special. So Purify, right, gives him SP, so that makes him win future clashes better. And on hit, it inflicts 2+ coin drop. So what you need to know about 2+ coin drop is that it is pretty insane, because how this works is that every coin the person rolls next turn will have this -2 on all his coins. So let's say you're fighting Kromer and you apply this. Now Kromer's moves, all of them, every single coin has -2. Yep, that's how crazy this is. It's like, this debuff is like extreme paralysis. Paralysis only affects certain coins, right? But this one is, I will affect all coins. As long as they're plus coins, I will affect them. So, and since most of our coins are pluses, right? This is a pretty damn good debuff. So yeah, I really like this debuff now that I know how it actually works. And then of course, you know, the nails, the hits deal bonus damage. It's just solid. Yeah, solid character. He even has some decent speed, as well as a solid health and defense baseline. And then lastly, we got Rodion. Rodion is just good. Alright, it's just good. Millions of coins, Fanatic, more damage than Fanatic, hit, nail, paralysis. You name it, she's probably got it. 3 to 7 speed, really shitty health and defense, but that is whatever. She is a DPS, and she does the DPS good. She has the good growths. This is a pretty decent growth for DPS. and she just goes ham. And with Faust giving the entire N Corp team more fanaticism, she's just going to be insane. She is going to be busted with N Corp Faust. Basically, right now, my favorite team in this game, even though I don't have all the pieces, is N Corp. If I have Faust, I'm going to just run an N Corp team for basically every content ever, because it's just so strong, so fun to watch. Yeah. Okay, and then lastly is this guy. So, unlike Shi Section Don and unlike Shi Section Ishmael, this guy is a special case. It's really a why? Like, why would you do this to this guy? Okay, so first off, skill 1 is average, right? 4 to 6. He has 0.7 growth. He gains 2 skill power at less than 25%. It's not even 50%, it's 25%. I already told you the problem with Shi sections, right? Is that they die. Like, if you get to this HP, you're gonna die. Because their stagger thresholds are in pretty bad places. Then you look at skill 2, it's only 5 to 10, like 5 to 15. What? And then this too, like what? It's a 1 coiner and a 1 coiner, like what? The damage output is gonna be bad. The clash win rate is not even gonna be that great. And you need to be at 25% to even get the skill power. Like why? Why? He doesn't even have like an amazing stat line, it's just average. He's an average unit. I mean, you can argue that this is kind of alright, but his coins, he's not gonna do damage. You hit once, you don't do a lot of damage. You hit many times, you do more damage. And then this one is like, hey look, I'm gonna lose HP to get to the 25%, right? But then, if you're at 25% and you want to get this, you're just gonna die. You're just going to your death. And then if you heal him, he won't be at 25%. You heal to like maybe 50% and then he won't get the skill power. So, I don't get it. The kit is so everywhere. The kit is everywhere. Okay, I will admit this skill is good. It has 5 plus 6 plus 6. So it's kind of like Faust's opportunistic slash, right? But like, why? The synergy in the whole kit is so off. If you hit 25%, you're gonna die. If you hit 50%, you don't get the buff. And if you use your skill tree, you're gonna lose HP. What? I don't know. Like, okay, maybe you can argue that this character has some use somewhere as an energy provider, but like, just get someone else to do that job for you. I don't know how else to explain him. He's currently my what the hell, but I don't know. Maybe there'll be an ego in the future that's like, oh, drop yourself to 35%, give yourself a billion protection, now you can't die for maybe 3 turns, and then wham wham wham, boom, Shi Section Heathcliff is activated, right? It's possible, which is why I only put him in what the hell. I didn't put like absolute garbage or whatever. But right now he really does not have a place in any team comp, in my opinion. There's no team comp that can keep him alive at 25% specifically for him to get his buffs, and his coins are not worthwhile to just run him. So he belongs here, in my opinion. Okay, and then, yeah, I think that's it. I didn't really talk much about the Core and SS, and the reason for that is because honestly, when you look at them, right, you already know they're busted. I don't need to compare them with anyone else. They are like the big boys and girls. They're there, they're super strong, they do what they want to do, they are self-independent most of the time. I think Ishmael's only weakness is that she runs out of bullets and then she's pretty bad, but like, by then you have already applied a lot of rupture count and a lot of tremor count that you won't need her to do it anymore. So like, you know, she's core, yeah. Yeah, okay, I think I've covered like every character that I have a little bit of problem with. Okay, no. I think I haven't covered the tanks, right? I haven't covered W Meursault and why I put him here. So W Meursault. So the reason he's here, right, it's not that he's bad. Okay, it's just that he's a tank. So like what I said, tanks don't particularly have good growths, and they're not necessary for most content. So the good thing about him is he has very high speed and very high defense. So you see he's clearly a speedy tank build. But when you look at his growths, he's not going to win any clashes, right? So 0.63 is really bad. Like the lowest I know is 0.6. 0.6 is already like the lowest you can go. And having 0.6 chi does not help. These coins also do not help. And the utility here is a bit weird in that his skill 2's utility is way better because Rupture is good for damage, Slash Rigidity is good for damage. Defense down, so if theoretically if there was a defense enemy, this would be very strong, right? Because that is lowering the defense of the enemy. But right now there just isn't a need for him. Yeah, so even though people swear by him, I'm sure he provides the energy. Like his energy is probably very good. He has Envy, he has Gloom, he has Pride. Envy and Gloom are usually the hardest ones to get currently in the game. So I'm sure he has a very good use in the ego teams. The problem is that everything else about him is not particularly interesting. And in addition to that, right, he only has one charge count way to get charge count. I mean, you could say he's Enduring Spirit, right? But then, I don't know. I really don't know. Like, because we can't make everyone hit him. Then this passive is like not significant enough. You rather use this skill to get the charge count rather than use this passive to get the charge count, right? Yeah, so yeah, that's why he is here, and that's why I don't like him a lot. But if you need him for ego feeling, yes, good. He has very good ego feeling energy. So can belong in that. And I think that's it really. Have I covered everyone? Yeah, I think I covered everyone. Yeah. Summary: core units strong. They define archetypes. SS extremely good clashers, very independent. Strong have niches that are really good. Have lots of good coins usually. Have very good offense levels and help to kill things. Some are self-sufficient, some require a bit of help. Supports and tanks, currently not needed in the game because of the damage focus on the game currently, but still pretty good utility. If you are having trouble, I think a tank might help you out. These units are just straight up good. I use them to clear all content in the game. And I do not regret building any of these units. They can be used to clear all content in the game currently, and I'm sure they will be able to clear content in real way, because I'm going to go and figure that out and I'm going to post a video on that. And lastly, Heathcliff is the exception among exceptions, being that he has anti-synergy all over his kit and he's not very good at clashing, so he doesn't even belong anywhere here. Yeah, so that's my opinion on the characters. If you have any other opinions, feel free to post them. I will try and address them. But yeah, remember that this is opinion based and this is ultimately a team based game. So all of these are just like, you know, just do what you want. We can clear all content with basically anything in this game right now. And only when Railway comes out will I have to redo this, so yeah. Alright, thanks for watching guys.